There's probably not a whole lot of people who have been watching a ton of Thunder games this season, considering they're pretty easily the worst team in the entire NBA. Me personally, I'm a gigantic Thunder fan, so I've taken the liberty of subjecting myself to the torture of watching them get absolutely pummeled on a nightly basis so far this season, unless they're playing the Lakers. But if you've been watching the Thunder, there's no chance that you've been able to miss Josh Giddey. The Thunder's 6th overall pick in the 2021 NBA draft comes out of Australia after playing a year in the NBL. He was one of the best players in that league, leading the league in assists per game, while also being one of the better rebounders, and he had a nose for grabbing steals. Keep in mind, this is a league where he was playing against grown men. A lot of rookies, when they come into the NBA, only have experience playing against college-level competition. But Josh Giddey was playing against grown adults who had been playing professional basketball for years. In a league where he was playing against grown professionals, he put up 10.9 points, 7.4 rebounds, and 7.4 assists per game. Keep in mind, this is the same league LaMelo Ball played in before he came to the NBA. Although Giddey averaged less points than LaMelo did, he averaged roughly the same amount of rebounds and more assists than LaMelo did. While the scoring prowess that LaMelo showed prior to coming to the NBA isn't quite the same with Giddey, all the other elements of his game are there. But for some reason, scouts were still hesitant about Josh Giddey leading up to the draft. The biggest concerns about Giddey pertained mostly to his athleticism. Scouts listed Giddey's thin frame and lack of a quick first step among his weaknesses. They worried about the slow release of his jump shot, his 70% free throw shooting, and they had concerns about his lateral quickness on the defensive end. So the question is, were these concerns valid? What did scouts get right? What did they get wrong? Is Giddey going to be better than we expected? NBADraft.net had him mocked around the 9th or the 10th pick, and he ended up going 6th to OKC. Now, while it's still very early in the season, Giddey has definitely played up to the 6th overall pick, and despite Thunder fans, including myself, being concerned and having reservations with him, he's lived up to it, and I think he's going to be a really good NBA player. As far as the concerns that scouts had, it seems like the free throw shooting is definitely going to be an area that needs some work, but he's only taken a handful of them so far this season, so I'm not going to put too much stock in that just yet. The good news is that OKC has a really good track record with player development, and with free throw shooting, if you're willing to work on it, it's definitely one of the easier skills to improve upon in the NBA. Now, the concerns about his athleticism, to me, so far are unwarranted. He's able to beat guys off the dribble and attack the rim, pulling in defenders for easy kickouts to the perimeter, and this really leads me into the first major part of his game that I want to talk about, and that's his great passing ability. This is where Giddey really excels. He's really smart when it comes to finding the open man, whether they're cutting towards the basket or idling on the perimeter, waiting for Giddey to find them for an easy catch and shoot opportunity. If you've watched Thunder games, you've likely noticed that Josh Giddey makes a lot of great passes that usually result in a missed basket. Now, these are called potential assists. And right now, so far through the season, he averages 7.8 potential assists per game, on top of the 5.6 assists per game that he already averages. Even if his teammates were making even a quarter of his potential assists, that still puts him in the 7 assists per game range, which is a great area to be as a rookie. Now, despite his teammates selling him on a lot of his passes, he still leads all rookies in assists per game at the time of this recording with 5.6. He's a big part of their offense already, with the Thunder scoring 12 more points per 100 possessions with Josh Giddey on the floor than they normally do without him on the floor. Now, the next aspect of Josh Giddey's game that I want to talk about is his frame. He's a 6'8" point guard, which provides him with really unique versatility that a point guard of standard height just isn't going to have. He's shown to be an adept rebounder, and despite having a lighter, thinner frame, he's really got a nose for getting rebounds even if there are bigger players nearby. There are a lot of advantages that come with Giddey being such a solid rebounder. The biggest is that when Giddey secures a rebound, because he's such an intelligent player, he can immediately initiate a fast break offense. When you have a point guard that's so smart and possesses exceptional floor vision, it opens up a ton of opportunities in a transition offense. Since the Thunder currently don't really have the personnel to be running set plays and half-court offenses, a lot of their points are going to be coming in transition. And that's where I think Josh Giddey is really going to excel. Now, let's get into his scoring profile. Scoring-wise, it's going to be interesting to monitor his development because I think that's really going to be the difference maker between whether or not Josh Giddey's ceiling is just really good NBA player or future all-star player. He actually has pretty solid shot form. That's promising in terms of him taking pull-up jumpers and hitting catch-and-shoot shots. He's already shooting at a clip of 46.7% on catch-and-shoot shots as a whole, and he's hitting his catch-and-shoot threes at a 41.7% clip. One interesting phenomenon that I've noticed is that Giddey is currently shooting better when being tightly defended than if he was wide open. I noticed this with Scottie Barnes as well. My guess is that it's just a mental thing and they're thinking less when they're being defended, but when they're wide open, a lot more thought is going into their head and they're thinking about the shot too much. I'm sure this is something that's going to come with experience, so I'm not going to put too much weight on it, but it's just good to know that he's able to knock down the shots over defenders now, and hopefully the rest will come with experience. Now, as far as his shooting stats go, it's important to take these with a grain of salt because the sample size right now is just so incredibly small. They haven't even played 10 games yet. I'm not even going to get into them because he's only taken 13 three-point shots at the time of this recording. The important thing to note is that he's showing signs that he can be a reliable slasher and has shown potential shot creation ability that's really going to open up a lot for his game, especially if he can get better at drawing contact and hitting his free throws. Now, let's talk about the defensive end of the floor. This was something scouts were unsure of with Giddey. Would he be able to be a solid defender at an NBA level? Honestly, right now, it's a bit too early to tell, but he has a nose for steals and he has the physical tools in the frame to match up against bigger players, and he's also agile enough to guard forwards and guards. So it's going to be interesting to watch this area of his game develop. Now, to sum all of this up, Giddey is what people commonly refer to as a feel player. Feel players may not be the flashiest or most incredible scorers in the whole world, but they have a great feel for the game. Giddey is a feel player. He sees the floor differently than his peers, and despite not having the physical tools and the scoring prowess of his contemporaries, his impeccable basketball IQ and court vision allow him to make up for the other areas of his game which might be currently lacking. I think feel players should be more heavily targeted in the draft, and I think it's why Giddey jumped so high in the draft. These players are able to make an impact from day one because they're not relying on athleticism or shooting to be productive. They're relying on their mind. Josh Giddey, don't get me wrong, he's a very skilled player. He's got good shot form, he's got good ball handling ability, but the most important tool that he has is his IQ and intelligence on the floor. IQ cannot be taught, feel cannot be taught, and the fact that Giddey has all of these things while also possessing some promising physical tools and fundamental tools, it's a recipe for a star player. I don't quite know how high Giddey's ceiling goes, but I do know that players like this are really hard to come by, and with how solid OKC's player development is and how good Sam Presti's track record is, the sky could be the limit for Josh Giddey. So what do you guys think of Josh Giddey so far? Where does he rank in the Rookie of the Year race? Be sure to let me know in the comments. If you're new to the channel, why not hit that subscribe button? I'm posting NBA content all the time, so if you enjoyed this video, then you'll love the rest of my content. Be sure to leave a like on the video to help recommend this video to more people, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Thanks.